The APBA, the American Powerboat Association, proudly presents professional powerboat racing. This week, the APBA presents Offshore Powerboat Racing. Stay tuned for all the thrills and chills of one of the most exciting sports on the water today, as you see head-to-head competition with the big deep V's and the catamarans race for the checkered flag. So stay tuned for more racing action, because the APBA means racing. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Jenkinson Offshore Classic, another exciting APBA offshore event. This weekend, we've got it all. We've got big water, big boats, huge spectator crowds, and a lot of money at stake for these professional boat races. And now for more on the race, let's go to my colleague, Steve Michael, in Race Control.
Thanks a lot, Joe. A picture-perfect day for racing here along the New Jersey coastline. Thousands of fans have lined the beaches and in the water, getting set for an exciting boat race. We're just an hour or so south of New York City, and as you can see, the temperature is beautiful. It's 86 degrees, the water temperature above 70, and the fans still filing in, trying to find the perfect vantage point to watch this tremendous racing action today. The condominiums along the coastline here in this beautiful Ocean County part of New Jersey, and they are now still filing in and getting set. We are just moments away to go racing. Today's event is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, and by Ocean County and the New Jersey Division of Tourism. We'll be back for the start of the event when we return right after this here on Sports Channel. Welcome back to the Jenkinson's Offshore Classic here in Point Pleasant, New Jersey. Steve Michael and Joe Gates with you. And now let's take a look at some of the classes of the APBA offshore race this afternoon. Let's begin with the MFG Super Vs. These boats are 35 to 50 feet in length. You know, they can cost up to $300,000, and their budget's, well, almost $250,000 a year. These boats can reach speeds of 125 miles an hour, and here's the lineup. Boat number 1 is Zagorski Special. Boat number 28 is Success Express. Hull number 85 is the Executioner, and boat number 100 is The Heat Is On. The open class, 35 to 50 feet in length. These boats can cost up to $250,000, and it costs almost that much to run these boats during the regular season. The race distance, almost 160 miles, and they can go up to speeds of well over 130 miles an hour. The one boat in the class today, number 9, Hydra Bandit. In the Pro Stock division, these boats can reach 41 feet in length. They'll cost close to $200,000, and to run them, well, pretty close to $50,000 to $80,000 a year. The race distance, 120 miles, horsepower, up to 900 horsepower in these craft. And here's the lineup. Boat number P15, Bad Move. P16 is Euromarine Special. P19 is Doubles Pizza. P24 is Insanity. And P77, Instant Therapy. In the stock division, these boats have as high as 400 horsepower. They can reach speeds of up to 100 miles an hour. The cost, $80,000, in the campaign, a little bit less than the bigger boats, $15,000 to $40,000 a year, and their race length, 100 to 120 miles. Here's the lineup for you. In the stock, number 1 is Adventurer. Number 3 is Courageous Cat. Number 7 is Patriot. Number 9 is Bad Boys. Number 12 is Thin Ice. Number 17, Performance Marine. Number 24 is Wits End Racing. And number 75 is Thrill a Minute. In the Offshore D class, these boats reach speeds of close to 120 miles an hour, pulling 2,000 horsepower. And the race length is about 80 miles. The boats, well, the cost-wise, are pretty close to $120,000, but during the season, about $14,000. Here's the lineup. Offshore D, boat number 2, Airborne. 15, Predator. 19, the American Express. 31, Smokey and the Bandit. 33, Tropic Heat 2. 53, Assigned Risk. 57, Aero Express. And 92, Bad Move 2. In Offshore C, these boats can reach up to 1,400 horsepower, can go to speeds of 110 miles an hour. They cost about $100,000, and they're 24 feet and up in length, and they'll run races between 60 and 80 miles. The lineup for Offshore C, boat number 3 is St. George. Number 16, Medicine Man. Number 23 is Rolling Thunder. 31 is Fast Company. 34 is Panther, 35 Phantom, 36 Topaz, and 39 How Sweet It Is. And rounding out the class, boat number 41, Pipeline Express, 58 Bounty Hunter, 88 Rare Breed, and boat 777 Harrah's Zabaz 777. Offshore B, the boats are 21 feet and up in length. They cost pretty close to $80,000, but the budget is good, between $10,000 and $15,000 a year. Their horsepower, well over 1,100, and the speeds, well, pretty close to 90 miles an hour. And the lineup, Offshore B, boat number 1 is Fever. Number 7 is Wild Irish Rose. Number 12 is Rip and Tear. Number 22 is Lady L. 29 is Lightning. 47, Bad Influence. 50, Network Express. 65, Full Throttle. And rounding out the field, boat number 71, Shockwave. 75, Ocean Outboard. 82, JJ's Express. 85, Jaws. 90, Runaway. And boat 888, IROC. Looking at Offshore A, these boats, 21 feet and up, can cost up to $40,000. Pretty good budget, though, to run them, $4,000 to $10,000 a year. The race length, not as long, 60 to 80 miles. They can reach speeds up to 80 miles an hour. And wow, 600 horsepower. And here's the lineup for Offshore A. Number 1 is Deuces Are Wild. Number 4 is Empty Pockets. Number 12 is MRD. Number 22 is Reckless. Number 33 is Kamikaze. Number 43 is Twist and Shout. Number 45, Taboo. And number 50 is Night Owl. And rounding off the field, 52, Spoiled Banana. 54 is Dirty Dancer. 56 is Team Sensation. And 76 is Heatwave. And now let's go up to the helicopter where Joe is ready to report.
We're flying over the race course in a little bit of a misty day in New Jersey at Point Pleasant. Visibility's a little bit bleak out here, but I've got to tell you, these guys are all professionals. If this keeps up, there's going to be a lot of close finishes today. Now we'll take you back down to the waterfront.
Oh, good shot of the haze. Visibility today is down to less than a mile, as these could cause a problem for the drivers on this 22.3-mile course. As we see the start boat now, just moments away from the beginning of this first heat. He's got the yellow flag up, warning the drivers any second they will go green. As he brings the green flag up, and now the boats come up to full throttle and they accelerate down the beachside heading south on this 22.3-mile course. The fans getting a spectacular eyeful here at the Jenkinson's Offshore Classic in Point Pleasant, New Jersey. Temperature 86 degrees beachside, but about 70 on the water as the boats come up to the start buoy. And the 4 classes are underway in start number 1. The Super V's, the Opens, the Offshore, D's, and the Pro Stocks. And we give you a different vantage point here on the race course. We see Joe up in the helicopter as they explode away from the start-finish buoy. And a driver who is already pulling out into the lead in boat number C9 is the Hydra Bandit, driven by Vince Carino, a 48-year-old out of Staten Island, New York. Here's what he had to say about his team.
Well, the boat handles fairly well. With Joey behind there, I expected to do a lot better. Also, Joey's put in quite a bit of help with the sponsor. Also, he's donated a lot of equipment. It's been made us able to bump this boat up to open class, which we've both dreamed about for years.
And Steve, from our vantage point high above these boats, we see that boat number 9, Hydra Bandit, is running unopposed and leading the pack. Closely behind him, though, is Alan Fuentes and his Big Fountain. And following closely behind him is the 41-foot Apache's Gorski Special. What a race they're putting on.
Beautiful picture of the 3 boats, and again you get a chance to see the haze out there. That's what the fans are looking at it as we watch start number 2 as the C-Class and the Stocks come by. So they are underway for the second start of this race.
Yes, and I would tell you right now, you're right about the visibility problems. It is very, very hazy out above the race course. In fact, as you can see from our vantage point now, it's limited visibility all the way out here today, Steve.
Of course, the water conditions, 1 to 3 feet, but they're saying there's also an occasional 4 or 5 footer out there. So for the driver, the throttle man, and also the navigator, they have to beware for that one outstanding wave that could really upset their day.
Yes, and of course, as we fly down the course heading south here, we see some of those waves as they attack some of these smaller boats. I'm glad I'm in this helicopter. It's a lot smoother, Steve.
We take a look at the Offshore C division right there. The man in 3rd place, Rolling Thunder. And Robert Shug in boat number C41, the Pipeline Express, has moved up into 2nd place. This boat, a 30-foot shadow cat, pulling two 550 horsepower Chevy inboards and a Merc Cruiser outdrives. And I'll say one thing, Joe, these guys are really moving right now.
Yeah, they certainly are. In fact, as we fly along beside him, this helicopter is shaking and rattling and rolling because he's really pouring the coals to this boat, as we can see as he runs along that water.
Right now, the conditions look pretty good, though. As we talked about just a minute ago, with swells up to 4 and 5 feet, we're not seeing it now. And there is our leader, C-88 Rare Breed, with Bill Gifford out of Egg Harbor, the owner and at the controls right now. This beautiful 32-foot Tempest machine powered by two 750 horsepower Oldsmobile inboards. And this boat is really dancing on the water right now. And you can see even the crew members are hanging on for dear life, Joe.
You're so right. And I tell you what, that boat is really running well. In fact, earlier we had a chance to talk to Bill about his boat and his success this year on the race course.
Bill Gifford, you're fresh off a win in Buffalo. The boat looks good. We just saw you launch it. What do you figure you're going to do this weekend in Point Pleasant, New Jersey?
I feel we're going to win again.
I imagine a lot of people think you are. I heard the speeds last time in Buffalo were phenomenal. How fast were you going out there on those straightaways?
Well, I would say around 95, and for V-bottom, you know, that's doing its thing. And I think with the weather the way it is, we're probably going to have some high speeds here tomorrow.
Well, speaking of the weather, I haven't been on the course yet, but they tell me you have. What's the sea look like out there on the course right now?
Well, Joe, I don't know exactly, but I'd have to say it's pretty flat. You know, you get a little southwest wind, then up here that comes off the beach, so I would say comparatively flat.
Well, I would imagine that Rare Breed will handle any sea you throw at it, but have you done any changing since Buffalo?
We're trying some new wheels today. And, of course, we're still in the process of getting everything straightened out with the engines. You know, it's the first time in offshore that Oldsmobile engines have been used. So we're using a pair of Keith Black Olds engines, and they're tremendously strong engines, a lot of torque, and I think that's given us an edge. Of course, our competitors don't think too much of that, but that's the way the game's played.
Well, as always, Bill, you play the game only one way. That's to win. Good luck out there on the race course.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Well, as the first two classes continue to roll on, we begin the third start of the day as the Offshore Bs and the Offshore As now make their appearance out onto the water. A total of 65 boats now out racing in front of these huge crowds at Point Pleasant, New Jersey. We're just an hour away south of New York City, and they have turned out beautiful skies today, 86 degrees, and a great day, but a lot of haze, Joe, as you can see.
Well, that's very true, Steve. These conditions are, as a matter of fact, getting a little bit worse for these drivers, but the race is getting good, the water's rising, and the competition is too. And we're going to be right back to you, Steve, after these commercial messages.
Welcome back to APBA Offshore Powerboat Racing. We come back to you here at Point Pleasant, New Jersey. We're now heading northbound at lap number 1, and we take a look at two tremendously fast boats on the outside as boat number 1, the Zagorski Special, making a move now on the outside of the boat on the inside. 85, that's the Executioner. And look at the speed. Now the throttle man, Phil Lipschitz, really turning it on for the Zagorski Special, Joe.
You're certainly right, Steve. In fact, the noise is deafening out here. Let's just listen to the roar of those highly radical engines.
And now you see the Executioner on the inside, finding a better way through, and it looks like driver Mark Hawkins out of Virginia Beach and Alan Fuentes out of Virginia Beach at the throttle, trying to hold off the charge of the Zagorski Special.
And running on this same lap, Steve, we've got a boat called Fever, V1. It's a 28-foot Mana. Really turning it on out here. In fact, he's moving through traffic very well. Those engines are really cooking.
Joe, it's got to be difficult for the driver, navigator, and also the throttle man to pick their way through traffic like that. And it's not always the best water conditions, but you've got to make a decision quickly, I imagine, on this course when you're reaching speeds like that. Well, now we switch, though, to the south course camera. We're actually on the beach, and now the boat's coming up on the turn here. As we take a look back, we see that it's the Executioner on the inside cutting around, and you see the navigator giving a wave as he comes by Jack Hanley. So he obviously feels like he's on course, and he's pleased with the progress so far. And right behind him is the 41-foot Apache of the Zagorski Special. Two 825 horsepower engines pulling, and look at this man go. Here's the Hydro Bandit. And he is really flying. And talk about horsepower. How about 1,070 horsepower in that boat? And, of course, the D-15 of the Predator. And coming out of the haze is the Aero Express, owned by Phil DeJana, who's at the throttles. Paul Horsky, right now the driver out of Port Washington, New York, as it comes around a very tricky corner here on the south side of the course. This boat only in its second race. And it finished third at Panama City last time out. And here's Insanity. A family affair, all three in the cockpit, father, mother, and son, racing as they go around the south side. And right behind is D-53 Assigned Risk as they make the corner, a 32-foot Scorpion.
And Steve, from our vantage point high above the south corner, we're seeing number D-33, I believe it is, Tropic Heat going through. This haze is really giving us a fit up here, so I can imagine what it must be like for these drivers down on the race course.
8 different classes of boats right now on the course, 65 total as they continue to come through to make this turn down on the south side as they come wailing by here, very close to the pin. Here's C-41 Pipeline Express coming by, and right behind him is Instant Therapy. William Amadon out of Weirs Beach, New Hampshire, driving this 30-foot Chris Craft. And here's the 33-foot Baja of Rolling Thunder swinging by one more time. As it continues to head back now to the north side of the course, we see the boats as they duck in trying to find a faster lane as they set up for the corner. Fans along the beach really enjoying this hot day, over 86 degrees. And here's an interesting boat out onto the course. Why? Because their navigator is none other than the ex-Washington Redskin quarterback Joe Theismann, who now makes his home in Falls Church, Virginia, getting his chance to see what some real competition is like out on the course.
I'm sure you're right, Steve, because competition is what he's getting. He may be used to a lot of impact when he played football, but I can promise you he's getting a taste of it today as well.
Here comes Fever by as they give it away. Joe Sergro, the driver. Joe Lantoya, the throttle man and owner out of Merrimack, New York. And they figure it costs about $80,000 a year to run that boat. And how about boat number C-58? Bounty Hunter, 32-foot Cobra that's being driven by Art Goldman out of Parlin, New Jersey, owned by Ed Goldman. And as they go out of the haze, we've got a tremendous battle going on in the stock class between S7 Patriot and S9 Bad Boys. And the crowds are really picking up there, Joe. A good example. Not only are they on the beach, but they're also rimming out around the course out on their own boats.
You're very right, Steve. We're seeing thousands and thousands of spectators along the beach, and as you mentioned, a lot of spectator boats in the fleet to watch this exciting APBA offshore event today.
Well, what you have to remember, Joe, as we see more boats coming through, there's 8 classes, 65 boats. They're racing in their own class. And how about this boat? A tremendous afternoon so far for Bad Influence with owner Bill Bubek, 50-year-old out of Northfield, New Jersey. And this boat is really on the move at the moment.
You're very right, Steve. We've seen this boat outside on the course a couple of times so far, and it is really cooking out there.
Let's go back to the inside of the course as Predator comes by one more time. The swells continue to build, and look at them bounce off the water there. They're really going through a ballet now through the water, aren't they?
They certainly are, and it feels like the haze seems to be lifting. From our vantage point up above, we can see a little bit better up here.
Boats getting airborne as they come closer to the beach. Does that make a little bit different for the drivers to drive? Do the conditions change when you get closer to the beach or when you're out farther?
Now, I believe the conditions are about the same everywhere. They're getting bad. And speaking of bad, there's a good friend of mine, Peter Meyer, in Lady L. He's gone down. And there's D-31 Bandit. That boat has gone down, too. Seems to be having trouble. Steve, a lot of attrition out here. Some of these boats are having trouble.
No problem for Assigned Risk. They don't have any problem. They are really flying at the moment, as are these two boats. P-24 and P-15 going head-to-head for the lead.
Right you are, Steve, and it's really a battle out here between P-15 Bad Move. That's Doug Durham out of Clayton, New Jersey, going against Insanity P-24. Right now, it looks like Bad Move's got the lead. but don't count that Insanity team out. They're out here to win, and they've got a plan.
And Bad Move almost puts it on end, and the throttle man, Phil DeJana, in that boat, talks about how tough it is.
As the throttle man, what I do is I read the water also. That's primarily my biggest job, okay? I look at the water, and when I see a wave which is coming on, and you're riding on an ever-changing surface.
And speaking of ever-changing surfaces, this water is really getting rough out here. These boats are going through it very well, but these drivers and crews know what they're doing, Steve.
I think it's important to remember that that's why you're seeing 3 men in these boats, because every driver, throttle man, and navigator has got a very important job as they come through here on this rough water, Joe. And we saw it in a Bad Move, who almost went up on its tail. And here, these drivers are working very tough. You know, people expect the driver to have all the glory, but really, he's only one part of the whole scene of this racecraft.
That's very true, Steve. It really is a team effort out here. And speaking of teams, B-47 team, Bad Influence. Going against, on the outside, I can see it, Shockwave, Water Racing. This is deck-to-deck boat racing. You don't get any better than this, Steve.
Tremendous dicing out on the course as the battling pair continues to move out in this class as they head northbound. And we've been watching this tremendous matchup all day long between boat number 1, the Zagorski Special, we see on the outside, and this machine, boat number 85, the Executioner, a 40-foot fountain boat built by Reggie Fountain, a beautiful example of 1990s technology.
It's very true, Steve. As we take it back in the mist again, I nearly have to ask your help here. I can hardly see the numbers of these boats, but they are really buried in that fog down there.
Rip and tear in the Offshore B class right now. That's a pink hull, and it's developing 1,000 horsepower. As Dick Castellini out of Vineland, New Jersey at the controls at the moment. And Joe, you're having a fun day up there, I can tell.
We certainly are, Steve. I hope we're getting you good pictures down there because we're seeing the fans, we're seeing the boats. It's a little difficult. Right now I'm seeing some of the boats go around your corner down there. It looks like that mist is really starting to build again.
And here's one of the bigger classes, the Offshore D division, up to 2,000 horsepower. And they can reach speeds of 120 miles an hour as they swing by the beach. And there you see the navigator pointing the way, telling his driver to keep on going. And here's a tremendous battle between boat 71 Shockwave and Bad Influence and boat 47. The racing is only getting hotter. Back with more when we return right after this. Welcome back to the Jenkinson's Offshore Classic here on Point Pleasant, New Jersey. We're about an hour south of New York City, and tremendous action on the water, Joe.
And right now on the course, we've got Great Adventure, S1 in a stock class. And there's the second place boat in that class, S12, running a little bit in front of C3, Steve.
Well, C3 is St. George, a 24-foot skater, and as we watch him skate along this course, Jonah, wait a minute, it looks like there could be something missing on the back of his boat.
Steve, he's missing the cowling off his starboard outboard engine. We saw that thrown and floating in the water a while back, and no one knew what it was. We're going to try to get you a tight shot so you can get some detail on it.
Well, you got it right there. George Rouse out of East Rutherford, New Jersey is the owner and the driver, and he probably knows that it is because of the engine note. I imagine he can hear it a little bit louder now.
I think you're probably right. We certainly can hear him screaming. And speaking of screaming, we got a screaming Wild Irish Rose under us right now. He's doing very well. The boat's running pretty good as we progress up the course and come up next to C23. That's Rolling Thunder. I tell you, his engines are really cooking. This boat is really performing well.
Again, a 33-foot Baja, a big boat out there with two 520 horsepower engines underneath, throwing over 1,000 horsepower into the water. And you can see it and hear it.
That boat's running very well out here. We're going down towards the turn towards the south in the jetty, and he is making up some ground. Right now we're out over Double's Pizza. That's a beautiful boat, and he's running well. All of these boats are handling this water very well out here, Steve, from our vantage point.
Well, we talked about the water, 4 to 5 foot waves, sometimes less than that. The haze looks like it's getting better, and that was a story earlier on in this race. As you probably have a better indication, you're right behind us in that helicopter, Joe, as Bad Move comes up on us, making the corner. Tremendous battle with Insanity that's going on, and Insanity is right behind, and we had a chance to talk to the engine builder of this boat, and here's what he had to say about putting the engine together.
We're with Doug Lewis, and he has a lot to do with how a lot of these boats perform. Tell us about it.
Well, we have a high-performance race shop that we rig and maintain high-performance race and pleasure boats for customers like Chuck New here. In-house, we rig these boats from the bottom up. We build their motors. We have a in-house machine shop, rigging shop, and engine building shop. And we hope we've done a good job for Chuck. He's brought us home a lot of checkered flags, along with a lot of rest of our customers.
Well, you sound like you're a very busy guy with all these boats. Just how much difficulty is involved in keeping these high-tech machines on the water?
Well, I haven't decided yet where God let me down, whether there's not enough weeks in a year, days in a week, or hours in a day, but there's just not enough time to keep them running the way we'd like to. We just do the best we can.
Well, you sound very, very busy. You know, I'm having a little trouble with my car. Would you be able to take a look at it after the race, possibly? Or?
After the race. I have my priorities right now.
And I'm sure he does, and those priorities are making these high-tech machines go for the win.
Oh, and by the way, Joe, did you ever get that car fixed?
Not yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure it will run better, but nothing like Rolling Thunder and these other boats out on the course today, Steve.
Rolling Thunder keeps chugging along as we look back in the field, and there is Joe Theismann one more time, a real education for him. Look at him hanging on, and now he's starting to point down the beach. I think he's starting to get into the whole feeling of this.
As anyone would, Steve, because this is a great day for racing. These boats are doing a great job. These drivers, the crews have set these boats up well. There we've got a shot of Therapy P77. What's impressing me is the way the Pro Stocks and the catamarans are running. This is not a day for catamarans, and yet they're leading the race. Right now we're looking at Insanity, P24, doing a great job flying across this water. Earlier we got the whole family together and talked about how they make racing a family kind of business.
We have a long race to run. It's roughly 135 to 140 miles. If the water kicks up, we're not going to push it hard. We'll stay close to the leaders as we can, but we'll let them set the pace, and at the very end, then we'll go for it. But we're gonna save the boat, and getting to the finish line is the most important thing.
Tell you, they can enjoy the hardware that they've put together as a family. They won the 1989 North American and Northeast Championship. They finished third in the World Championship in that year. And then last year, they were the North American and APBA World Champions. So this team, the new family, Driving Insanity, has had a tremendous record the last couple of years. And look at them come up and make a move on the outside, Joe.
They really have done just that. They're pushing hard, and they're making a big, big bid for first place out here on the course, Steve.
And as they continue to find clear water, that is the key right now. The conditions continue to, it looks like, Joe, they're calming down a bit more as the afternoon goes on.
We have noticed a lot of calming down out here. The water seems to be leveling, and these boats seem to be taking advantage of it.
And here's a boat that did take advantage of the competition, and that was in Sarasota at the last race, a very important win for Alan Fuentes.
You're looking at the monster engines of Alan Fuentes' Super V. Tell us about this boat and what kind of power she's got.
Well, Joe, it's a 40-foot fountain hull with two Merc 1,000 horsepower supercharged blown engines, and the boat is capable of doing speeds close to 115 miles an hour.
My goodness. Well, by the way, speaking of speeds, congratulations on your recent win in Sarasota. Give us a couple of details. I heard a lot of good things about that race.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. We took the manufactured Super V first place, plus we took first overall. We won the Top Gun. We're beating out all the super boats.
My goodness. Well, I'll tell you, you keep your equipment immaculate. It looks beautiful. I know you just went out for a test run. In fact, one of my cameramen was with you, and he reported back you go real fast. How was the water out there?
The water is exactly the way we like to see it, 4 to 5 foot seas, and it was 5 to 6 foot seas here last year, one of the best races we had all season. So we were excited about coming back up here and finally getting back out in the ocean and racing in the ocean rather than the Gulf of Mexico or some of the lakes. The seas look good, and it looks like they're going to hold up for tomorrow. So at least for the deep V's, we're going to have a great race tomorrow.
You look like you're all ready, and I'm sure the New Jersey fans are ready to see you go out there and run for the checkered flag. Good luck in the race tomorrow.
Well, thank you very much, Joe. Appreciate it.
The Executioner has been putting on a blistering pace. As you can see him skip through the water in full flight. He had a lap of 75 miles an hour the last time around, and we've got a tremendous battle going on. As we watch Joe go by one more in the helicopter, again, you get another chance to look at what the fans see out there. They're getting a chance to see the race, but again, it continues to be hazy. A real battle that's going on in that B class is one that's been going on since the drop of the flag. Bad Influence in boat 47 and Shockwave in 71. They continue their dicing as each in the battling pair try to pull away, and we had a chance to talk to the driver from Shockwave. He is the owner, Rich Tropley, out of Toms River, New Jersey.
I'm with Rich Tropley and Scott Langbine. We're on a boat called Shockwave. Rich, tell us about the boat.
Well, we've been running the circuit for, this is my third year with this boat. We bought it, it used to be called Finish Line. We re-rigged the boat, different motors, and we've been doing pretty good the past couple of years. We've been racing 5 years on offshore, and looking for a good season this year.
And Scott, I would imagine you throttle?
Yeah, I throttle the boat, and Rich drives, and been pretty lucky. Pretty good combination so far. Team works well.
Well, your boat certainly looks good. I noticed some pretty radical engines under here. Tell us about them.
Yeah, they're 467 cubic inch Chevrolets. They're putting out about 600 horsepower apiece. We've got them built right to the limit of our class, which is Sportsman B. The boat's running in the high 80s, and we're very competitive with our other guys on the circuit.
With a little good weather and a little good water, I would imagine you guys will turn out some good speed, and we wish you good luck out there.
Thank you very much.
Boy, that's been an understatement, Joe. They're showing great speed out on the course right now. And coming by in the S3 is Courageous Cat. Now, this class, a stock class, is more of the economical classes you can really get into, isn't it, Joe?
It seems to be, but of course, there's really no economics in boating. Boating is expensive, but it's thrilling. As you're seeing right now, there's small boats out there. Of course, we have some major boats, Steve, but everybody is putting on a good show for the thousands of fans we have here in Point Pleasant, New Jersey.
A lot of good overtaking you're seeing. Now remember, we tell you that there are 8 different classes out here. We've got 65 boats out on this 22-mile course, and they're coming by a very dangerous part of the course, really making the corners, because they have to set themselves up and clip a tough apex and come around, and there you can see boats that are parked very closely along the inside, so we are seeing a little bit of attrition here.
Very true. Attrition has been a key factor in this race, but one of the teams that has had little worry about attrition or really anything else is the team called Insanity, number P24. They are running wide open, and I believe their plan is working. They said they were going to wait, and wait they have. Now they're pouring the coals to it.
Well, the family from Staten Island, New York are really airing it out as they are right on the limit. As you can see them out on the Atlantic Ocean here off the coast of New Jersey.
And they still are having a great race with that second-place boat now on number P15 as we move up on 85, the Executioner. He's still airing that boat out and still running hard, as you said before, Steve.
And really, that's the only way that Alan Fuentes knows how to handle this boat, and it is awesome.
Power is the word, and power is what we're hearing. In fact, let's sit back and listen and enjoy.
It's music to my ears, and we'll be back with more exciting racing right after this. Welcome back to Point Pleasant, New Jersey. Just a few moments away from the end of this tremendous afternoon of racing here, and there you can see the C-41 coming across, taking a checkered flag, and my, are they happy. Along with the Predator and D-15 as they pick up a checkered flag and a victory. And the Ace Crew and A-33 Kamikaze waving in victory out onto the water. And, of course, B-47, Bad Influence. A little bit more reserved, but they've got to be happy with their day. As we come by the beach, the tremendous crowds now starting to watch the boats as they work their way back into the harbor on a full day of racing. And we will go back in and get a chance to meet some of the drivers as they come up. And we want to thank all the great people at the Brill Yacht Club for their great help and a lot of fun that we've had in their hospitality here in New Jersey. But now let's go down dockside to Joe with the winners of the Open class in Hydra Bandits.
We're here with Vince and Joe Guarino. They're winners of the Open class. And by the way, they have their mascot, I believe, if that's the right term. Congratulations, guys.
That's Miss Hydra Bandit.
Miss Hydra Bandit. My goodness, a lovely girl. Well, how was the water out there today for you?
It was pretty nice. As usual, Point Pleasant always has a lot of surprises out there for you.
Well, we noticed you getting airborne a few times. A little bit rough out there today.
Well, It wasn't as bad as last year, but it was nice to race in. Good for the boat.
Joe, how was it for you? Any problems for you?
No, not at all. The boat ran terrific. Vince did a great job driving. Everything went well for us.
I noticed a couple of times that there seemed to be some competition. Somebody was pretty close to you 3 or 4 different times. How about that?
Yeah, he came up on us, and we tried to hold him off, and we fared out well today.
Your boat looked real good, and speaking of looking good, you certainly look good. What's your name?
Allie.
Where are you from?
I live in Brick.
Yeah, you enjoy boat racing, or is this kind of a first experience for you?
First time for everything.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you heard it first here, folks. It's the first time for everything. Now back to the tower.
Well, a tremendous day for the Hydro Bandit, but they weren't the only winners this afternoon. Let's go down and talk to the new family in P24 Insanity.
We're here with the winner of Pro Stock, Chuck New. Chuck, how was it out there for you today?
It was a lot choppier and a lot bigger rollers than people thought. We did a lot of flying and a lot of bouncing around. It was tricky water. The course varied from area to area, so you really had to watch the water and throttle and drive depending on what you were facing at that particular moment. We had a game plan, which we always do. We followed it. At times we were ahead, at times the other boats were ahead, and I think you have to stick to your race plan to be successful. And I have to thank and credit Doug Lewis from Pro Marine. He's the guy that keeps these engines running for 135 miles. They just were fantastic, and without him, we wouldn't be here.
Well, I noticed from the air that there was a lot of shots of you in the air, so obviously you were pushing it. Let's go to your wife now and ask how the ride was out there. Tony, how was it?
It was really exciting. It was like a giant roller coaster, and I loved every minute of it.
Well, you would. I know you were real gutsy out there. Jason, there seemed to be a little steering problem out there in that last corner down by the crowd. Tell us about that.
It was a very tight turn at the end. We had the spectators moving in, and coming into the beach was a little tough, but we got around okay. This was a very exciting race for us because it's our hometown, and it was really a thrill to come in first. So we're happy.
Well, congratulations to all of you. It's good to see you in the winner's circle, and I'm sure we'll see you a lot more in the winner's circle.
Tremendous tradition for that family, but let's go down and talk to the winners of the stock race, S1 Adventurer.
We're here with David Greaves and Warren Gazelle. They just won the stock class here in New Jersey. Gentlemen, how was it out there?
Well, it was a little bit rough. They had some pretty good ocean swells out there, but we were able to keep the boat running pretty flat. We did a little flying, but kept coming down straight, so we did all right.
I noticed a lot of battling between you and I believe it was thin ice.
Yeah, they were really pushing us along there. They were ahead of us for a while. Warren was on the sticks, and he was working hard to keep up with them. So we just kind of hung in and back there until about the second to last lap, and we figured it was time to overcome the deficit. Off we went. Warren put him down, and away we went. Worked out real well.
Warren, how did you find that turn down by the jetty? It looked mighty rocky from the air.
Yeah, the turns tend to look rocky, but they don't feel as rocky when you're in the boat. When the boat is straight up in the air, it doesn't really feel like it's straight up in the air, and you can tend to run harder.
You guys certainly put on a good show out there. Congratulations on your win. We'll probably be seeing you again in the winner's circle.
Well, thank you very much, Joe. We're going to keep working at it. We've been racing for several years here, and we've been doing all right. We're hanging in there.
Well, good luck to both of you.
Thank you very much.
So the family from Topsfield, Massachusetts gets the job done in the stock class, and we move now down to the Division A class. Kamikaze, the winner in A33.
We're here with Pat Lauer. She owns Kamikaze, the A-boat winner in New Jersey. How was the water out there for you and your crew today?
Very rough and very brutal.
It looked a lot like you were really having a little trouble down by the jetty on that last turn. That looked awfully dangerous.
Very, very tricky. We had a little engine troubles. We had this spittering, that sputtering. My throttle man, Rob Lauer, brought us out of it. He did very well with the trim and the throttles. Don Malinowski, who drove, had an excellent hand on the wheel. Pulled us right out of it.
Well, it looks like it was a real team effort, because just for anybody to stay afloat out there today, there was a lot of attrition on the water today.
A lot of attrition. Whenever you get heavy seas, you have boats that just can't handle it. We've had gremlins the first couple races. The first race, the gremlins got our engines. We didn't finish. The second race in Buffalo, the gremlins got our drive. We didn't finish. This race, we finished, and we finished first. It was great.
Congratulations. I have a feeling you're probably going to finish first a few times. Looks like you've got it dialed in just about perfect.
Thanks to our crew with Donald and Brian and my son Robert Jr., I think it's coming together finally.
Good luck to you all in the future.
Tremendous job by Kamikaze, and in division, Class C, the winner, C41 Pipeline Express.
I'm here with Bob Shug and Richard Incision.
Owners and drivers and throttle man of Pipeline, you guys were cooking today. Tell us about the water in the race, Bob.
Well, it was a little choppier than we thought it was going to be. But competition was there, so you have to come up to the task, I guess.
I noticed you were being pushed out there a little bit, but you seemed to answer the call every time you got challenged.
Yeah, they pushing hard. We were pushing too a little ourselves, and we feel that sometimes you push rather than race.
Right.
And sometimes that works.
Well, Richie, we also noticed that some of the aerial events you did today, it got real quiet when you were in the air and then got real loud when you hit that water.
I think we expected that once we got out there. We saw it wasn't going to be as flat as they predicted, and I had Arnold from Rolling Thunder right behind me, so I had to do all I could to stay in front of him. You get that little adrenaline surge when you pass somebody, and it's hard to take it back. So I figure let's try and keep our second place rating at this particular time and not let him pass us. And it worked out in the end. The lead boat, Rare Breed, broke down, I guess, from what we see now, and from that point we had the lead.
Well, you guys certainly look good, trim, and your boat looked great out there. Nice looking equipment. Good luck in the future. We'll probably be talking to you again in the winner's circle.
So Pipeline Express gets the checkered flag in Division C, and in Division D, it's D15, Predator, piloted by the owner, Ed Toth.
We're here with Ed Toth, owner and driver of Predator in the D class. What a race for you guys, and what air your boat was taking out there today, Ed.
Yeah, a lot of air. It was a good day for us, real good. This is my motorman, Herb Stadler from Florida. My son, we call him Spacer. He's the navigator. Everything went right.
Well, the boat seemed to really be dialed in out there, although you did have some good competition.
Yep, they were right there all the time. It's always competition. It's never easy.
Well, I did also notice that the turn down by the jetties where all the crowd was, man, from the air, it looked like you guys were bouncing a lot in that corner.
See, with the cats, that's the only edge we get on them is the turns. You know, we can do turns tighter than them, so we got to take the turns serious.
Well, you guys certainly did pour the hammer short on the straightaways. I got to tell you, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of this boat because your speed looks good and the rig looks good.
I hope so.
So the Predator packs away another checkered flag, and now we get to the big boats, the Super Vs. In boat number 85, the Executioner, Alan Fuentes at the controls.
The team is called Executioner, the class Super V, and the man behind it all is Alan Fuentes. Alan, congratulations on a great victory today.
Well, thank you a lot, Joe. Appreciate it.
The boat looked absolutely marvelous out there today, but it did get airborne a few times. Were you maybe just pushing it a little bit extra today?
Well, the first 3 or 4 laps, it was pretty rough out there, actually, so it's natural it's going to go airborne. When a helicopter comes by once in a while, we'll pull the tabs up a little bit, show off a little bit, but it was a safe race today. We maintained a comfortable lead today, and we really liked the weather. The water up here was nice and rough the way we like it. Smooth out the last couple of laps, but that was all right. It was a good race today. We enjoy the 4 to 5 foot seas out there.
So another win put away by the Virginia Beach native, and now we get to a tremendous race. The Offshore B Division winner, B47 Bad Influence, with William Bubeck at the controls.
I'm with Bill Bubeck, owner and throttle man of Bad Influence, our B-class winner here in Point Pleasant, New Jersey. Man, what a race you guys put on out there today.
This is a great race. You know, we started off and in the beginning of the week when we started bringing the boat over, we said this is our checkered flag. And we knew that there was boats here that are much as capable as we are of winning the race, but you have this feeling as you start. And all of us had this feeling that we were going to win, and then when we went out to the milling area, I did not lose that feeling.
A big congratulations to all our class winners for the afternoon, and we'll be back with final comments when we return right after this timeout here on Sports Channel.
I'm here with Gary Pearson, event chairman at Point Pleasant, New Jersey. Gary, what a race, what a crowd, and what a day we had for powerboat racing.
It sure was. 65 boats started. The weather's been good, hot. We had a lot of attrition today. A lot of boats break down. The speeds were pretty good, and it was a safe race, and a lot of spectators out there today.
I was surprised not only at the amount of spectators. Of course, I'm not surprised. You always do a good race and do a good event here in New Jersey. But I was surprised at the number of boats. I mean, 65 boats. That's a lot of boats.
It's a lot of boats. It looks like this will be the biggest APBA national race this year. Sarasota had about 50 boats, and this short topped it.
You know, I know that our viewers will be interested in this. You were in the helicopter with me, of course. How did you find the ride today up there?
Very smooth and very cool. considering it's about 100 degrees out now.
I know what you mean. Well, Gary, listen, I know you got things to do, winners to congratulate, and probably some checks to sign. Right. But congratulations from all of us. Believe me, you made our stay and our job here much easier. We look forward to doing more races with you in the future.
Thank you. We'll see you next year, Joe.
Great racing up and down the course today, 22 miles, and we had 3 starts. We had 65 boats battling for 8 division championships. It was a lot of fun. I know the fans enjoyed it.
No doubt about it, and I'm sure the race teams enjoyed it. Some great competition, some great weather, some real tricky water. We had super performances from P24 Insanity as they battled all day long against the boat number P15, Bad Mood. A dynamic performance from B47 and B71, Bad Influence and Shockwave, as those 2 B-class boats fought their way all day long around this course. In a word, it was competition, competition, and more competition.
The 4 offshore divisions were the backbone of the race this afternoon. Why? Because over 44 of the 67 boats out there came from those 4 divisions. And of course, Joe, attrition was a major part of the race day. Of course, not everybody finished.
An unfortunate situation, but as they say, that's just racing.
Well, racing was the major focus here this weekend, but we had a lot of fun, and we'd like to spend this time now to thank the nice people that made this such an enjoyable weekend for all of us here at Point Pleasant in New Jersey. And we begin by thanking the volunteers and the local officials who of course, this race would not be possible had that not been their time that they put in on the shore as well as out in the water. And, of course, our sponsors. We begin with Budweiser, the king of beers, Ocean County, New Jersey, and the New Jersey Division of Travel and Tourism, and, of course, the Brielle Yacht Club.
Steve, I'd like to thank the APBA who sanctioned this event, and a special thanks to Gary Pearson, his staff, and the Professional Racing's Offshore Production Group for all their support. And finally, we can't forget to thank the race teams, the crews, the drivers, the owners, all of those people that did so much to make this race an exciting event for all the spectators, Steve.
Well, that'll about wrap it up here on the shores of Point Pleasant, New Jersey. We had a lot of fun at the Jenkinson Offshore Classic. And for Joe Gates, I'm Steve Michael saying so long, and don't forget, the APBA means offshore racing. So long, everybody.